Hey guys, and welcome to my next video in Doctor Who December. So we have another ranking video today, and as soon as I started working on this, and I actually did put like a lot of work into this one, I like immediately regretted it, but I put so much work into it because listen guys, listen. One, I'm very aware, you know, just in general, my picks for favorite episodes and stories and all of that are, you know, maybe not the norm. Maybe not a lot of people agree. So I'm just going to put this disclaimer. This is just my ranking, mine, not yours, not the general public's, just mine. Okay, just me. Okay. I don't need people coming for me being like, how dare you, like, or anything like that. The other thing that I need everybody to keep in mind is there was a certain era of the show that was my favorite. You guys who have been watching my channel for a while know what I'm talking about. And yeah, this list is really gonna reflect that, okay? I don't mean to, like, you know, put anybody's favorites towards the bottom or... I always try to be so fair in my videos, and I'm sorry. But if I'm being truthful, yeah, there's definitely, you know, a time period of this show, of New Who, because these are the specials of New Who, not all of... Okay, listen, it's just, I'm being honest. I'm being honest. All right? Okay, let's get into it. Okay, and before I really get into this list, I just want to reiterate that these are Christmas specials only, no New Year's, okay? That's not counting for I just did that to make it easier for myself, honestly, I really did. But this is just Christmas specials, so just so you guys know, if you're like, where's this or where's that, that would be why. Okay, so number 13, I believe, on this list is weirdly the special that has my favorite companion in it. So how does that work out? I don't know. And that is the Christmas Invasion. I kind of, honestly, going back, I went and I rewatched all of them. I took extensive notes. I have my notebook down here to kind of like keep looking down of all of the notes that I took for each special and everything like that. And to be honest, I actually really enjoyed watching every single one of them, but I mean, something kind of had to be less, so I went with it. The only reason that I think this kind of got beat out was just maybe it wasn't the most intriguing plot or anything like that. But, you know, it has Mickey in it, so you know I'm gonna love it no matter what. Obviously, rewatching this made me miss Mickey more than I already did. It also made me miss Jackie so much. Live for her. I don't know. She is such a queen and is so underrated, in my opinion. Maybe nobody else agrees with that. There were a lot of things that were kind of a little bit like campy about this Christmas special, but I think it kind of adds to the charm and everything like that. I kind of loved that. And I feel like there were some kind of terrifying moments in it with the whole rooftop thing. I thought that was really kind of scary. And though maybe a kind of sword fighting duel may not be so typical for Doctor Who, I kind of loved the way that Ten made his entrance, you know. He kind of was a little bit absent for a bit of the episode and everything, but I kind of liked, he had kind of a really badass entrance, and I liked that a lot. Great quotes like "it is defended" and everything like that coming from this special. And it did a really, really great job of sort of giving a sort of sad feeling, kind of, with sort of the snow being not snow and ashes and everything like that. But I think it really did end on sort of a nice, hopeful note, which is really great for a Christmas special, in my opinion, with sort of Ten and Rose kind of getting ready to go on their adventure together. So as much as technically this is at the bottom of the list, I still really enjoyed rewatching it, and it was quite lovely. Number 12 on this list is going to be Voyage of the Damned. So, wow. Really loved watching this one again too. I'm going to say that about every single one, I think. Well, except for the sad ones. Oh boy, we'll get to those. Well, no, this one was really sad. I love the disaster movie feel of this. It weirdly kind of reminds me, I used to watch when I was a kid, the Poseidon Adventure, like the original one. And like just a little bit of this kind of reminds me of it, where it's kind of like a group of, survivors on this ship, and they're trying to make their way and survive, and there's kind of one asshole guy and you're kind of rooting for all of these characters to live. And the reason that this sort of edged out, it was really difficult to I had to put aside my love of Mickey, which is very difficult for me to do, It just sort of edged out a little bit with the Christmas Invasion, was just because of the fact that I really liked a lot of the supporting cast, but not just that I liked because Mickey technically trumps all of them, but kind of what happened with the supporting cast and what sort of happened in this story. And there was a lot of like sad moments, people on the ship sacrificing themselves, really really got to me deep in my heart a lot of the time. And I really loved the plot, and though not many of the people lived, there was a lot of kind of sad, crazy moments. I really thought there was a lot of, sort of beautiful moments too, particularly with Ten and Astrid and everything. I loved the kind of final moments with Mr. Cooper in this. But so much of the supporting cast was really, really great. And it was kind of great to see Ten sort of thrust in this situation that he needs to kind of help get people out of, and how he also is dealing with loss of people that he can't save. And, it doesn't really hurt that we got a little, little scene with Wilf. That always helps things. Number 11 on this list is The End of Time, Part 1. Now, obviously, this would have kind of skyrocketed on the list and gotten a little bit higher up if it was Part 2. But, we're going to leave it here for Part 1 because of just the fact that it is a really great build-up episode. It is a really great Part 1, and there's a lot of really great moments in it to kind of start off, saying goodbye to the 10th Doctor. So I really, really love that. Obviously, absolutely love Wilf's part in it. And I always really appreciated the fact that they had, Wilf be such a significant part of, Ten's final story or episodes. And having the Master come back and dealing with all of that is really crazy, and has like a super, the Doctor and the Master have quite a complicated relationship, so it's really interesting to kind of dive into that a little bit more. Even though I still don't think I'm that aware of how complicated the relationship is between the Doctor and the Master. I don't think I'm really well versed in that. I think I still need to get into that with Classic Who. But I definitely like, so it maybe, especially the first time around, didn't probably affect me in the same way as maybe some people who watched Classic Who before that, but I definitely appreciate it. And particularly the scene in the maybe diner, cafe, wherever they are, the conversation with the Doctor and Wilf is really, just really pulls on the heartstrings, and especially when they, kind of talk about Donna and everything. And, obviously if this was the two-parter, when I ranked the RTD era in a previous Doctor Who December, obviously this was much, pretty high on the list, this two-parter, but that's because I kind of thought about it in a two-parter. Also, on that note, I don't actually know if my rankings for this is actually going to line up with how I ranked them in my RTD and Moffat videos. I actually don't know. I literally just rewatched everything, took a bunch of notes, and then just ranked from just this watch. So maybe my opinions have changed. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, I obviously, and it ended on a really, really good cliffhanger, I think, or a really, really good note. But yeah, this would definitely be higher if it was part 2. But, this is where it shall stay, being part 1. Number 10 on this list is probably going to be slightly controversial. I mean, they're probably all controversial so far. These are probably your favorites, and you're cursing my name. But just being honest. And is actually the Snowmen. I do remember when I reacted to the Snowmen that a lot of people were like, really, they loved it, or they said that it was their favorite Christmas special. And and as I disclaimer, as disclaimers go, I enjoyed watching all of them, and I loved watching all of them. Some made me cry, yeah, sure, but I enjoyed this whole experience, and writing up these notes and everything. Okay, first of all, for me, one of the best things about the Snowmen is seeing, Vastra, Jenny, and Strax. So you guys know I live for them. I still want them to get their spinoff, and I know that maybe there's not a lot of, people who want that or whatever. Maybe some like mini-sodes or something, like maybe do a little mini-series. Like, I don't know, we could do something, right? Like, right? Come on. Anyway, but I just absolutely love them, and so it's always good to see them. It was also really interesting to kind of sort of go back and see 11 in this sort of, in being very kind of depressed and not very 11. And kind of the gradual journey that we got to see him kind of accepting that, Clara could be somebody who could be a companion for him, and him, slowly but surely, because he's so apprehensive, and slowly but surely getting really excited about that fact, and then losing her kind of immediately after is just so heartbreaking. But, the ending of the episode and everything like that sort of leads to a wonderful mystery for the second half of the season. I actually am one of those people who really enjoys season 7 or series 7. I think it's great. I do think that the first half and the second half are kind of very different animals, but I love it all encompassed. And I like the mystery that was kind of attached to Clara. I think that was a really, really great way to make, people who really loved Eleven's relationship with Amy and Rory, like, be kind of still excited for him to have this new companion, and maybe, because there's such a interesting mystery sort of attached to it, and not really feel like Amy and Rory are being like replaced, so to speak. I really love that. And some other things, I think in my opinion, one of the most iconic shots of any Christmas special is, Clara going up the staircase and the TARDIS and the clouds and just all of that. I think it's just really beautiful and amazing. And also, the kind of final thing that I want to say about this special that I really loved is rewatching it after kind of knowing everything that I know from the Second Doctor's era with the Great Intelligence and all of that, gives it a lot more, I guess, just like history and kind of just understanding the importance of it all a little bit more than maybe the first time that I watched it. So that was really great too. Number 9 on this list is The Runaway Bride. I love this episode. I really, really love, this is kind of the start of just such an important relationship for the Doctor, in my opinion. And when I was rewatching this, I just couldn't believe how much I missed the Doctor and Donna bickering. That sounds really weird, but the way that they kind of like bicker with each other, or kind of their sort of, I don't know, back and forth is just always so entertaining to me. I love them together. And it kind of really was a great setup for her time as a companion, even if it didn't happen just yet, you know what I mean? I think that I really loved it because, you know, it was kind of a funnier episode. There's a lot of comical moments, like the chase scene, the TARDIS chase scene, and all of that stuff. There was a lot of kind of really funny moments, and I just genuinely really adored, you know, it's so funny, but I feel like I really loved the fact that they also had like kind of a sad scene, or like you kind of feel really bad for Donna, even though there's some comedy and mixed in with it as well, you know, with everything with her fiance and all of that madness and craziness. I think it was a great sort of glimpse into what the time will be with the Doctor and Donna going forward. And I loved that a lot. Oh my goodness. I also really, really was just a big fan of the whole sort of Donna having to sort of stop the Doctor, and the Doctor sort of realizing that he can't travel alone, or he shouldn't travel alone, or, you know, and that's kind of a recurring theme, particularly in Ten's era. You know, after the loss of Rose, it was so significant, and you know, there is a reason that companions are actually really good for the Doctor, and that he can't be, you know, kind of stuck in by himself, you know, even though he can obviously handle himself. But I liked that they kind of did a great focus on the importance of a companion and everything like that in this story. You know, it's for the most part a kind of fun Christmas story. It definitely has rewatchable factor for me, that I'll get into a little bit later in this list. But yeah, and you know, I just really love any time that we get Ten and Donna together. Number 8 on this list is Last Christmas. This is such a good episode. I really, really love this episode. I think there's a really great sort of like Christmas feel to it when it's kind of about like them dreaming and then Santa showing up, and the bickering between 12 and Santa is absolutely amazing. But there was some heavy moments in this Christmas special, and I really genuinely loved them. I think, you know, it's no secret, I guess, that I didn't mind them, but I wasn't as emotionally invested in Clara and Danny as a couple as maybe I have been in other couples on the show or other companions in the show. You know what I mean? But man, the way that the sort of conversation in the dream and everything, where he kind of says, "Miss me for 5 minutes," I think was just so brilliantly written and beautifully written, and I just absolutely adored. You know, she's going through a lot of grief in this episode, and there was a lot of truths that had to kind of come out because of this episode, and I absolutely loved the way that they handled that, particularly with her and the Doctor and them sort of lying to each other to, you know, for each other's benefit, But I really, really loved all of that stuff. Shauna, am I right? Shauna, that's her name. Yes. Sorry. I have all these notes. Is probably one of my absolute favorite one-time companions. I think she's absolutely brilliant. I love her to death. I wish that we could have gotten to see more of her and everything. She was just really kind of funny. And I just, like, I really loved the vibe of this whole Christmas special. 12 in particular had some really, really funny moments where he didn't want to like hold hands and everything like that. I really loved, and then, in the Santa coming with his sleigh and everything like that at the end, it just really ended it on such a lovely Christmas feel. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Number 7 on this list is one that I think is not as popular, but I really love it. I don't know why, but I do. And that is The Next Doctor. I feel like a lot of people, maybe when I got to reacting to it, I forget what it was, but like a lot of people were kind of like, it's not that great, or I'm not the biggest fan. And I genuinely still love it. I watch it, I still love it. I absolutely love Jackson Lake as a character, and I love the whole spin on that and him being the doctor and what's going on with all of that. Obviously having David Morrissey in a special, and Cybermen, okay, it's a recipe for something that I am gonna like, but genuinely I think the story is just really great on its own. There's a lot of emotion, especially with the memories and everything like that. I absolutely adore Rosita. I mean, those two together were just, I really love them. I think that they had a really great dynamic, and everything like that. And there was some ridiculousness. I feel like the Cyber King thing, like the craziness, was definitely a bit ridiculous, but it's Doctor Who. What are you gonna do, right? And there were just such like charming, wonderful moments, and I love the TARDIS being a hot air balloon. I love that whole thing. I think it's just really sweet and charming. And the Doctor going to save the day in the hot air balloon was just, I think it's honestly one of my favorite 10th Doctor moments ever. There's something just so beautiful about this special, and the idea of family and the idea of grief and how to deal with it. And I don't know, I just really absolutely adore a lot of how this story went for this special. And I love the scene where Jackson Lake, he kind of leads the charge for everybody saying thank you. Like, it brings tears to my eyes. I just absolutely love that with that moment in general, and the way that sort of the special ends. It's a little bit bittersweet. There's this beautiful kind of lovely thanking and triumphant moment for the 10th Doctor, and then it's a little bit sad, talking about losing companions and how that goes, and it's really tough. And I believe, if I'm correct, this isn't really a favorite for a lot of people, but it's definitely one that I kind of really hold very near and dear to my heart. Number 6 on this list is also one that I think is not very common for it to be kind of maybe on the higher end of this list, but I don't know what to say. Every time I watch it, I think it's great. And I love it. And that is the return of Dr. Mysterio. I know, guys. A lot of people are kind of like, it's kind of a throwaway special. I just think it's a good time. I think it's a good time. I love the interactions between 12 and Nardole. And I actually really love Grant and Lucy. I feel like Christmas specials for me have like some characters that I just absolutely adore. They're like one story characters, but I love them. I would love to see them again. I'm not sure anybody else agrees with me on that, but I would love to see them again. I love the interrogation scene, which I think is probably hit or miss for a lot of people. You know, I feel like where she's like squeezing the whatever, I don't even know what that thing is, a little squeaky thing. I absolutely love that. I think, you know, it's a great play on like the superhero, you know, stuff, because, you know, superhero movies are just like so big currently. And I don't know, there's something really lovely and charming. I love the interaction at the beginning with 12 and young Grant, like little Grant. I just absolutely adore that. I just think it's so good and so wonderful. And, you know, it's a fun special. You know, the villain and all of that stuff really weren't all that impressive or anything like that, but I still think that it was kind of, a good time, and it was kind of nice to see 12 sort of in a more like kind of fun-loving special. And as much as, you know, it was more on the fun side, obviously there was kind of some sadness towards the end where they talked about River for a bit, and, you know, and 12's kind of line about things ending and everything like that, and, you know, Nardole talking about River and everything. Yeah, there's some kind of sweet sad moments and stuff like that, but I genuinely, I don't know, I really love it, and I can't really explain too much why, but I do. So there. Okay, so number 5 on this list is, well, let's just get all the really controversial ones right on out of the way, shall we? Because I know that a lot of people hate this special. Whatever. It's my list. And that is the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. I know. I'm sure that a lot of you were probably like, okay, when's this one showing up on this list? Like, it's really, we're going, it's making it that far. Yeah, okay, I like this special. Yes, I'm not the biggest fan of the villains, if you call them villains, with the trees and all of that stuff. Yeah, no, okay, no, but a lot of this special, the rest of this special is just perfect for me, and perfect for 11, I believe. The idea of him trying to bring Christmas to a grieving family and that are kind of going through so much, and the line, what's the point of them being happy now if they're going to be sad later? The answer is because they're going to be sad later. 11 just has such amazing quotes from, like, so often. I just absolutely adore him, and I mean, you guys know, I mean, this is no surprise to anybody, but I really loved a lot of this special in regards to like the heart of it, and so that's why it's so high on the list. I just, you know, I did actually love the whole image of the little boy kind of going into like a beautiful icy winter wonderland sort of vibe, and kind of having to follow through and all of that. I love the idea of the mom coming to save them and everything. And I like the idea that this grieving woman got a, you know, happy ending, which is kind of, not always how these Christmas specials go, but it was quite lovely. There's just so much, I don't know, I just really love the heart of this whole story. And of course, you know, 11 also sort of learning, as I've talked about so many times before, I love the scene where he shows up and they say, we always have a place for you at Christmas, and, you know, he kind of has that moment with like happy tears and understanding happy tears and everything like that, and kind of understanding that he has a family and a home with Amy and Rory is just so beautiful to me. And there's just something that just really warms my heart about this special. I love the kids. I like the family. And yeah, I don't know. I know it's not that popular, but I always enjoy watching it. Number 4 on this list is Twice Upon a Time. I do think that they did a really, really great job of having 12's final story and everything that comes along with it. I like that there was a heavy focus on soldiers and obviously the captain, and sort of the ending with that being Lethbridge Stewart. That was just such a beautiful and amazing moment, which, as I kind of go through Classic Who more and more and more, is going to genuinely make me appreciate that moment more and more and more. So I love that there are these things that when I go back and rewatch New Who after seeing Classic Who, or some parts of Classic Who, that I appreciate it so much more. I mean, I was getting like emotional when I'm rewatching this with like the first Doctor, kind of them starting it off with that and his regeneration with Ben and Polly and everything like that. And I was getting really emotional there. And I just, I love that that can happen. I can go back and watch certain episodes that are going to have more of an impact later on. As I continue into Classic Who. I do agree, now that I've seen the first Doctor, I do agree that I'm not the biggest fan of them trying to portray him as super sexist. I think it was kind of a joke that really, like, they were trying, I don't know, like, I feel like just trying to be kind of funny, in the sense of just in the real world, how, like, times have changed and everything like that. But he never really was, I mean, he was definitely like protective of somebody like Susan or, things like that. But maybe dismissed them or their ideas every so often, but definitely were not so I do agree with that, which maybe knocked this down a couple of pegs. However, in general, there were some like really, really great moments with, the first Doctor, especially the conversation with Bill, where she kind of sort of alluding to like how important he's actually going to be. And I actually really loved the idea of memory and memories being such a big part of 12's final story, especially everything that happened with Clara. I liked that they kind of wrapped that up and he got his memories back and everything was really kind of beautiful with that, seeing as that was such a huge and significant part of, that his era, his time as the Doctor. It was just so beautiful, and I really, really loved all of that so much. I guess kind of ending out my thoughts on this special is that his final words as the Doctor are just so wonderful. I love that he's kind of like encouraging the next Doctor and saying like, this is, laugh hard, run fast, be kind, and just so, I don't know. I just really love his final words and how he's kind of imparting all of the wisdom that maybe he's learned as his time as the Doctor. Peter Capaldi in general can really deliver a fucking speech. We all know this. Like, I rewatching this, I was a mess, and as you can imagine, and I just love that he got such a great send-off that 12 really deserved. Number 3 on this list is A Christmas Carol. This was really hard to place. Like, the top 3 were really, really hard to place for me because here's the thing about A Christmas Carol. I think, though there are sad moments and everything, and there's a little bit of a bittersweet vibe to this story, I think it's probably the one that I rewatch the most. It's the one that I'm like, I want to watch a Doctor Who Christmas special, and it's my go-to. I think it's amazing, and I think there's a rewatchable factor. Now, given the top 2 on this list, one more so than maybe the other, but like there's, you know, if I rewatch those, I'm probably going to cry. I'm probably even the previous one, Twice Upon a Time. Like, they are great episodes and I have to give them the credit or whatever that they are due, but I'm not gonna sit and be like, okay, I want a nice Christmas special to watch. Let me, you know, watch 12 Regenerate, because by the end of it, I'm in a puddle of tears, you know, if I'm trying to like watch something while I bake Christmas cookies. It's just not gonna work out. So this one is so high on the list because it is my go-to to rewatch. I have actually probably seen this Christmas special more than any others. I love it so much. It has my, I think my favorite quote of all of Doctor Who. Maybe. There might be one that trumps it. But do you know 900 years in time and space, I've never met anyone who wasn't important. And it's just honestly like really amazing. You know, it kind of just really sums up 11 too. He's so like encouraging and excited about all of the people he meets, and you know, even if he's kind of suspicious of them. And I love that this is a play off of such a great, wonderful, you know, Christmas story with the Christmas Carol. Yeah, there's some definitely sad moments and there's some great moments, and you know, it's just completely such a beautiful story about the growth of a man and how, you know, times can change and how, you know, maybe there are some things in our past that make us who we are, and maybe that wasn't for the best or could have been maybe a little bit better, and how sometimes we just need a, you know, silly man to kind of guide us in the right direction. And I just, there's something about this special, again, kind of like I said with the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. I think this special is very wonderfully suited for 11. I think that he has a certain like joy for this, which is really great. You know, little bits of this story is quite lovely with like Amy and Rory in their outfits for the honeymoon, and her being what was she, the ghost of Christmas past, future? No, she had to be, I don't remember. Oh no, present. The middle one. But yeah, I just really, really love that. I think the whole, you know, the whole story with Abigail is really sad, but had a little bit of hope in it, which I think is like perfect for Christmas. And then, you know, I don't know, this story just really, I think is absolutely perfection when it comes to what story do I want to rewatch, what story am I really, really excited about. I don't know, I just absolutely, completely and totally adore this story, and yeah, it's perfection. Okay, so number 2 on this list is The Husbands of River song. Okay. Depending on my mood and the day that you ask me, number 1 and number 2 are pretty interchangeable. I have to say that. It was really difficult to put one above the other. So just saying that, I really love this episode. And yeah, okay. So what I love about this episode is it's really fun and funny. 12 and River have such impeccable chemistry. I can't even tell you. They are absolutely amazing. I absolutely love the two of them together, and they're hilarious. Like, I don't know. I could watch a whole season of just the two of them. Like, genuinely, I love them so much. Love Nardole being in there as well. And there was a lot of really funny moments, you know. I love, you know, her saying, I basically married the diamond. I love 12's reaction to the TARDIS. I love the little kind of like him trying to drop hints that he's the Doctor and all of that. Like, just so amazing. And just like true kind of Doctor Who Christmas special style, there's a lot of funny, there's a lot of fun, and then it gets like a little too real, and the scene, one of my favorite scenes in Doctor Who is the scene where she realizes that it's the Doctor. That is such a good scene, where she's like, scan the whole ship, like, you know, and she kind of does this whole proclamation of, or declaration, I guess, of love, and 12 hearing it, and just, you know, she saying that he doesn't love her back, and like, just, oh my god, that scene just like gets to me every single time, and his hello sweetie just hits the heartstrings. Yeah, when I rewatched this, it was just me getting more and more emotional as time went on. I mean, I cried a lot the first time, and you know, this didn't really change too much. You kind of get these like crazy realizations, you know, when they say beryllium, and they say, you know, and he gives her the Sonic and all of that stuff. By the way, love the romantic gesture of him kind of giving up the diamond so that there's this beautiful restaurant, you know, by the towers and everything like that. Just so beautiful and wonderful and kind of perfect for River, in my opinion. I just absolutely adore the ending, even though it just gets, it's like your heart like starts to sink like really gradually as they get closer and closer to that. And I just, oh my god, I do really love the ending, even though it's so sad. And just when you're like, this is so sad, I hate everything, why is this so fucking sad, why do these Christmas specials have to be so damn sad, they kind of hit it where she sort of says, you know, how long is a night on beryllium, and his answer, and then it just gives you that hope. It just like that Christmas vibe where things can be really, really sad, but here's hope, here's happiness, here's joy. And I just, I love it. I love that special. You know, it definitely, I think, has more rewatchable factor for me than the one that has the #1 spot here. But yeah. I don't know. It just really, you know, it is kind of sad at the end. So, but yeah, I just adore the relationship between the Doctor and River, but 12 and River just certainly had just a magical chemistry together. And #1 on this list is going to be The Time of the Doctor. I didn't really know, I mean, I like the send-off for 11, though I don't watch it that often. I have to say, I don't really go near this episode that often. I'm not really like, hey, I want to have a mental breakdown. Like, like that's normally, I don't know, but you know, it tops the list, so maybe I am a glutton for punishment or something like that. I don't really know, but there's something really wonderful about 11's final hour. I like that they did a really good job of kind of incorporating, you know, 11's greatest hits with The Silence, Weeping Angels, oh my god, I feel like there was so many more, The Crack in the Wall and everything. There was a lot of an homage to his time as the Doctor. I really appreciated that a lot. And I think 11, you know, spending his final long lot of time, but years and story and everything, saving a town called Christmas is very 11 to me. I think that Moffat was really, really good at, you know, kind of doing a final chapter for the 11th Doctor and the 12th Doctor that was really fitting to their story and their time as the Doctor. I really, really appreciate that. I love that a lot. And, you know, oh my God, I don't even know where to even begin. There's so much about this special that I do actually love, even though it's really sad for me and tough for me. You know, I think I love seeing, you know, Matt Smith's final hour. I love him trying to save Clara and, you know, not really going so well for him. And that moment where they do the Christmas cracker together and he's all old and it's so sweet. But, and they say, like, I don't know exactly what it is, but like 11's hour is over now and the clock is striking 12. That was like kind of the first moment when I watched the episode the first time that I was like, what? Say huh? Say who? Say the clock striking who now? I was not about it, though. I was, you know, I mean, you guys know if you've seen the reaction or watched the reactions leading up to it, I definitely was kind of like, you know, I feel like we're getting towards the end, but I didn't know, and then like from then on it just, you know, went downhill. And I loved that, you know, I loved the Time Lords kind of giving him his extra regenerations, and don't come for me. I'm sorry. This is just my opinion. It does make me a little, I think that maybe one of the reasons why the last finale that we had kind of hasn't sat too well for me, because I just felt like that was such a wonderful moment for 11 and apparently that didn't matter, or I don't know. Let's not get into that. Okay, let's not get into that. I love that moment. I think it's really wonderful that the Doctor, he was kind of this sort of rebel who stole a TARDIS and, you know, was kind of an outcast, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I'm still getting into Classic Who. We'll see as that develops a little bit more for me, so I get a little more perspective on that. I love that idea that, and that he kind of became sort of like a hero, and they wanted to help him out and have him stick around longer. You know, that moment really gets to me and just warms my heart so much and is just beautiful. And then, you know, getting into sort of the final scene, final moments. You know, it's always rough because he's my favorite Doctor. Duh. Yes, it's always going to be a tough. I love his final words mean a lot to me because, well, 11 meant a lot to me, and I've talked about that so many times, but like his final words really were sort of like about embracing change and you know, you have to remember who you are, and I do not like change. It's not my thing. So I really love that he really kind of encourages people to, you know, sort of embrace the change that is to come, which was a little bit different than Ten's perspective. I absolutely adored the way that he was able to, all of his final words, and you know, I'll always remember when the Doctor was me. That always gets to me. And you know, there's a lot of little moments that, you know, Amy was a big thing, and him taking off the bow tie, and I think that this episode was just a really, really great homage to Matt Smith as the Doctor, and I love it, and it has to be number one on this list. I can't not make it number one, even though it makes me cry so much. So yeah, that's kind of just how I feel about that episode. And hilarious enough, you know, I cry a lot in it, but it's like my favorite Doctor regenerates into my second favorite Doctor, so it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it is really nice to see 12 at the end. Wasn't the first time around, but you know, I really, really, absolutely adore both of them, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, that's about it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, even if it was slightly controversial, but definitely leave down below kind of your favorite Christmas special, and why you love it so much. And yeah, I mean, I genuinely loved watching all of them. It really got me into the Christmas spirit a lot earlier, because I started, you know, going through and rewatching and taking notes on my off time for a few months now. It took over quite a few months to sort of, you know, get everything together. So it really got me in the Christmas spirit way earlier than I should have been. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know how much you guys like these ranking videos and everything, but I hope maybe some of you liked this and like to get my perspective on which Christmas specials I really, really enjoy. So yeah, that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.